Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm excited to share something truly special, 7 life-changing habits that completely transform my life in just 1 week. These aren't just quick fixes or superficial routines. They're habits deeply rooted in Buddhist philosophy, which means they have the potential to impact you on a deeper level, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Buddhist teachings offer a profound and timeless wisdom that speaks directly to the heart of our modern struggles, whether it's stress, overwork, or the constant pull of distractions. You see, the beauty of these habits is that they go beyond mere productivity hacks. They're about cultivating a mindful, intentional way of living, which allows us to navigate the ups and downs of life with a greater sense of peace and ease. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, unbalanced, or disconnected from yourself, then I invite you to consider these habits as gentle practices that can help you regain that sense of inner harmony. Each habit is inspired by key Buddhist principles such as mindfulness, non-attachment, and the middle way. These practices have been around for over 2,500 years, but they're more relevant than ever today, especially as we seek to find balance in an increasingly fast-paced and chaotic world. I'll guide you through each habit, explaining how you can incorporate it into your daily life while offering insights into how it aligns with Buddhist teachings. And make sure to stick around until the end, because these habits aren't just about doing more, they're about being more. Being more present, more aware, and more compassionate with yourself and others. So, let's get started on this journey toward mindfulness and transformation. Habit 1. Waking up early with intention. Mindfulness in the morning. The first habit that completely shifted my perspective on life is waking up early, but not just for the sake of being productive. Waking up early with a mindful intention each morning is a powerful way to align with the Buddhist principle of mindfulness, being fully present and aware in each moment. There's something sacred about the early hours of the day. In Buddhist practice, the morning is often viewed as an ideal time for meditation and reflection. When the mind is clear, the world is still, and we can connect deeply with ourselves before the busyness of the day begins. I started waking up at 5 a.m., which at first seemed daunting, but the benefits soon outweighed the challenge. This quiet time before the world wakes up allowed me to begin my day with mindful awareness, which is a core component of Buddhist meditation. I would start each morning with a few minutes of breath meditation, sitting quietly and simply observing my breath, the rise and fall of my chest, the coolness of the air as it entered my nostrils, and the warmth as I exhaled. This practice immediately brought me into the present moment. Buddhism teaches that by paying attention to our breath, we become more attuned to the present. The breath is always with us, yet we often take it for granted. By focusing on it, we can cultivate a sense of stillness and peace, even in the midst of chaos. This practice also aligns with the Buddhist concept of impermanence, the idea that everything is constantly changing. Each breath we take is a reminder that nothing is permanent. Every inhale and exhale comes and goes, just as moments in life do. Waking up early also gave me space to set my intentions for the day. Instead of rushing through my morning, I took time to reflect on how I wanted to show up in the world, whether that was with more compassion, patience, or awareness. This reflection allowed me to align my actions with my deeper values, which is a core aspect of right intention, one of the steps in the Noble Eightfold Path in Buddhism. The first few days of waking up early were challenging, especially letting go of the comfort of sleep. But by practicing non-attachment, a fundamental Buddhist teaching, I learned to let go of my desire to stay in bed and embrace the peacefulness of the early morning. Non-attachment doesn't mean we have to reject comfort or joy. Rather, it means we learn to release our clinging to it, understanding that true peace comes from within, not from external circumstances. Over time, this habit of waking up early with mindful intention became a source of calm and clarity for me. I no longer started my day feeling rushed or stressed. Instead, I felt grounded and present, ready to meet the challenges of the day with grace. If you're looking for a way to bring more mindfulness and intentionality into your life, I encourage you to try waking up just 30 minutes earlier than usual and dedicate that time to stillness, meditation, or journaling. You may find, as I did, that the early morning holds a special kind of peace that sets a positive tone for the rest of your day. Habit 2. Daily exercise as moving meditation, mind-body connection. The second habit that had a profound impact on my life was making daily exercise a priority, but not just any kind of exercise. I started to view exercise as a form of moving meditation, something that deeply connects the body and mind. In Buddhist philosophy, the body and mind are seen as interconnected, not separate entities. How we treat our body can significantly influence our mental and spiritual well-being. This is why physical movement, when done mindfully, can be a pathway to greater awareness and presence. For me, exercise became a daily practice of mindfulness. Instead of focusing on the outcome, like losing weight or hitting a fitness goal, I shifted my focus to the process itself. Whether it was going for a jog, doing yoga, or strength training, I approached each session with the intention of being fully present in my body. I paid attention to my breath, the sensation of my muscles contracting and releasing, and the way my feet felt against the ground. This practice of tuning into my body in real time allowed me to cultivate a deep sense of connection with myself. In Buddhism, we are taught that mindfulness can be practiced in any activity, not just formal meditation. This is where the idea of moving meditation comes in. By bringing our awareness to our body's movements and sensations, we can use physical activity as a form of spiritual practice. It's not just about building strength or endurance. It's about fostering a deeper connection to the present moment. When we're fully present in our bodies, we experience life more fully and with greater clarity. For example, during a run, I used to be fixated on how far or how fast I could go. But with this new approach, I focused more on the impermanence of each sensation. The burning in my legs, the rush of wind against my face, the sound of my breath. All of these sensations would arise and pass away, just like the thoughts in my mind. This awareness of impermanence, a key Buddhist teaching, helped me let go of my attachment to discomfort and simply experience it as part of the journey. Buddhism teaches us to let go of attachment and expectations, and I applied this to my exercise routine as well. I stopped obsessing over how my body looked or how I performed. Instead, I practiced self-compassion, accepting my body as it was in each moment. This shift in mindset was liberating. I began to appreciate my body for what it could do rather than criticize it for what it couldn't. This is closely tied to the Buddhist practice of metta, or loving kindness, extending compassion and kindness to oneself and others without judgment. If you've struggled with viewing exercise as a chore or feel disconnected from your body, I encourage you to try approaching it as a form of moving meditation. Focus on your breath, your movements, and the sensations in your body, and see how this practice can transform not only your physical health, but also your mental and emotional well-being. Habit 3. Journaling as a practice of self-awareness, insight meditation. The third habit that made a significant difference in my life is journaling, but not just any kind of journaling. I began to approach it as a form of insight meditation, a way to observe my thoughts and emotions without judgment, just as I would in formal Vipassana meditation. In Buddhism, Vipassana is the practice of cultivating deep self-awareness through mindful observation. This practice encourages us to watch our thoughts and feelings as they arise, without becoming attached to them or identifying with them. Every night before bed, I would sit down with my journal and take 10-15 minutes to write. But instead of simply recounting the events of the day, I focused on observing my inner world. I wrote about the thoughts that had come up, the emotions I had felt, and any patterns or insights I had noticed throughout the day. The act of writing allowed me to gain a deeper understanding of my own mind, helping me to see how certain thoughts and emotions were influencing my actions and decisions. In Buddhist psychology, the mind is often described as a constant stream of thoughts, like clouds passing through the sky. These thoughts are not who we are. They are simply mental events that arise and pass away. Journaling allowed me to put this teaching into practice. Instead of getting caught up in my thoughts, I learned to observe them from a distance, seeing them as temporary and impermanent. This helped me to cultivate detachment and reduce the power that certain negative thoughts and emotions had over me. One of the key insights I gained through journaling was the realization that many of my thoughts were rooted in fear and desire, two fundamental sources of suffering in Buddhism. Whether it was worrying about the future or longing for things to be different, I noticed how these mental habits were causing me unnecessary stress and anxiety. By becoming aware of these patterns, I was able to start letting go of my attachment to them, which brought me a greater sense of peace and clarity. Journaling also helped me cultivate gratitude, another powerful Buddhist practice. Each night, I made a point to reflect on 3 things I was grateful for, no matter how small. This simple practice shifted my mindset from one of lack and craving to one of appreciation and contentment. In Buddhism, contentment is seen as one of the highest forms of happiness because it allows us to let go of our constant striving and simply be at peace with what is. If you haven't tried journaling as a form of self-awareness, I highly recommend it. It's a simple yet profound way to observe your mind, gain insight into your patterns, and cultivate a greater sense of peace and understanding. And remember, the goal isn't to fix anything or solve all your problems. It's simply to observe and reflect with compassionate awareness. Habit 4. Practicing non-attachment to outcomes, letting go. The fourth habit that truly transformed my life was learning to practice non-attachment, a fundamental teaching in Buddhism. In the past, I was always focused on the outcomes, whether it was achieving a certain goal, hitting a milestone, or getting a specific result. But what I didn't realize was that this constant focus on outcomes was causing me a lot of stress and frustration. Whenever things didn't go as planned, I would feel disappointed or anxious, and I was always chasing the next goal, never satisfied with where I was. In Buddhism, the concept of non-attachment is central to finding peace and happiness. Attachment, whether to material possessions, outcomes, or even ideas, inevitably leads to suffering because everything in life is impermanent. When we cling to things or outcomes, we set ourselves up for disappointment because nothing is guaranteed to last. The Buddha taught that true peace comes from letting go of our need for control, our desire for things to be a certain way, and our attachment to specific results. For me, practicing non-attachment meant shifting my focus from the outcome to the process. Instead of fixating on the end result, I learned to enjoy the journey and trust that things would unfold as they were meant to. This was particularly challenging at first because we're so conditioned to measure our success by external achievements. But over time, I began to see how liberating it was to let go of my need for control and simply focus on doing my best in each moment. This habit is closely related to the Buddhist concept of equanimity, the ability to remain calm and balanced regardless of the circumstances. Equanimity teaches us to accept whatever arises with grace and without attachment, knowing that everything is temporary. By practicing non-attachment, I was able to cultivate a sense of inner peace, even when things didn't go as planned. For example, I used to set very rigid goals for myself in my career, and whenever I didn't achieve them, I would feel like a failure. But through practicing non-attachment, I learned to detach from the specific outcome and focus on the effort I was putting in. Whether I reached the goal or not became less important. What mattered was that I was present, engaged, and doing my best. This doesn't mean we shouldn't have goals or aspirations. In fact, having right intention and setting goals aligned with our values is important in Buddhism. But it's about learning to hold those goals lightly, not letting them define our happiness or self-worth. By letting go of attachment to outcomes, we free ourselves from the cycle of craving and aversion, and we open ourselves up to greater peace and contentment. If you find yourself constantly fixated on achieving certain results or feeling disappointed when things don't go as planned, I encourage you to experiment with non-attachment. Focus on the process, enjoy the journey, and trust that whatever happens is part of your path. This shift in mindset can bring a profound sense of freedom and peace. Habit 5. Practicing gratitude, the art of contentment. The fifth habit that made a significant impact on my life is practicing gratitude. In Buddhism, gratitude is closely linked to the concept of contentment, the ability to find happiness in the present moment without constantly striving for more. Craving, whether for material possessions, status, or experiences, is one of the primary sources of suffering according to Buddhist teachings. When we are always looking for the next thing to make us happy, we miss out on the joy that is available to us right here and now. I started practicing gratitude by making it a daily habit to reflect on what I was thankful for. Every morning, I would take a few moments to think about 3 things I appreciated in my life. This simple practice helped me shift my focus from what was lacking to what was already present. It's easy to get caught up in the desire for more success, more money, more recognition. But when we take the time to reflect on what we already have, we realize that happiness is available to us in the present moment. Buddhism teaches us to appreciate the simple, ordinary moments of life, like the warmth of the sun, the taste of our food, or the sound of birds singing. These are the moments that often go unnoticed because we're too busy looking for something better or more exciting. But when we practice gratitude, we start to see the beauty in the everyday and find contentment in what is. One of the key teachings of Buddhism is that everything is interconnected. When we express gratitude, we are acknowledging our interconnection with the world around us. We recognize that we are not separate from the people, animals, and environment that support our existence. This awareness fosters a sense of compassion and appreciation for life as a whole. In addition to my morning gratitude practice, I also started expressing gratitude to others, whether through a kind word, a thank you note, or simply acknowledging someone's efforts. This practice not only deepened my relationships, but also reminded me of the importance of kindness and generosity, which are core Buddhist values. Practicing gratitude helped me cultivate a sense of contentment and peace that I had been missing. It shifted my focus away from what I didn't have and brought my attention to the abundance already present in my life. If you find yourself constantly seeking more or feeling dissatisfied, I encourage you to try practicing gratitude daily. It's a simple yet powerful way to shift your perspective and find joy in the present moment. Habit 6. Practicing compassion, loving kindness meditation. The sixth habit that brought profound change to my life is the practice of compassion, both for myself and others. In Buddhism, compassion, or karuna, is considered one of the highest virtues. It's the genuine wish for others to be free from suffering and the willingness to act on that wish. But compassion isn't just about helping others. It's also about extending kindness and understanding to ourselves, especially when we're struggling or facing challenges. One way I began to cultivate compassion was through the practice of metta, or loving kindness meditation. In this meditation, we start by generating feelings of love and kindness for ourselves, then extend those feelings to others. First to loved ones, then to neutral people, and finally to those we may have conflicts with or find difficult. This practice helped me to soften my heart and view others with greater understanding, even in challenging situations. Before I started this habit, I would often be hard on myself when I made mistakes or fell short of my goals. But loving kindness meditation taught me to be more gentle with myself. I realized that I was deserving of the same compassion I offered to others. Buddhism teaches that self-compassion is not selfish. It's essential for our well-being. When we are kind to ourselves, we are better able to extend kindness to others. This habit of practicing compassion also helped me in my relationships. I became more patient and understanding with those around me, especially during conflicts. Instead of reacting out of anger or frustration, I would pause and try to see things from the other person's perspective. This practice of empathy, putting ourselves in others' shoes, is key to developing true compassion. Buddhism teaches that we are all interconnected, and by cultivating compassion for others, we also cultivate it for ourselves. If you find yourself being overly critical of yourself or struggling with difficult relationships, I encourage you to try practicing loving kindness meditation. It's a simple yet profound way to open your heart and develop a sense of unconditional compassion for yourself and others. Over time, this habit can lead to greater emotional resilience, deeper connections, and a more compassionate way of living. Habit 7. Mindful eating, savoring the present moment. The final habit that made a significant difference in my life is mindful eating. In our busy lives, it's easy to eat on autopilot, whether we're scrolling through our phones, watching TV, or rushing through a meal to get to the next task. But in Buddhism, eating is considered a sacred act, a time to nourish the body and practice mindfulness. I began practicing mindful eating by taking the time to slow down and truly savor each bite of food. Before eating, I would take a moment to express gratitude for the food on my plate acknowledging all the people, animals, and natural elements that contributed to its creation. This simple act of gratitude helped me connect with the interconnectedness of all life, a core Buddhist teaching. As I ate, I focused on the flavors, textures, and smells of the food, paying attention to how my body felt with each bite. This practice of mindful eating helped me become more in tune with my body's needs and signals. I noticed that I would naturally stop eating when I was full, rather than overeating out of habit or distraction. Mindful eating also helped me develop a greater sense of appreciation for food. In Buddhism, there is an emphasis on moderation and avoiding excess. By eating mindfully, I learned to enjoy my food more fully, without overindulging or rushing through meals. This brought a sense of contentment and balance to my relationship with food. If you tend to eat mindlessly or struggle with overeating, I encourage you to try mindful eating. It's a simple but powerful way to bring awareness and gratitude into your daily life, while also cultivating a healthier relationship with food. In just 1 week, these 7 habits, rooted in Buddhist teachings, have truly transformed my life. They've helped me cultivate greater mindfulness, compassion, and inner peace. But perhaps the most valuable lesson I've learned is that transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that requires patience, practice, and self-compassion. Buddhism teaches that the path to enlightenment is a journey, not a destination. And so it is with personal growth and transformation. These habits are not quick fixes or magic solutions. They are practices that, when cultivated over time, can lead to profound changes in how we experience life. I hope you found these habits as helpful as I have, and I encourage you to incorporate them into your own life. Remember, the goal is not to be perfect, but to be present, to live each moment with awareness, compassion, and gratitude. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I wish you peace and happiness on your own path of transformation.